You are now listening to The Spearsy Spin with your host, Mike Spears.
Former FBI Director Mr. Robert Mueller to step in as a special counsel in Russiagate. Hi folks, and welcome to The Spearsy Spin, Thursday, May 18th, 2017. Well, Bob Mueller will now oversee what we are now calling Russiagate. The Justice Department said Wednesday that they did in fact appoint the former FBI Director, Robert Mueller, as a special counsel to investigate allegations of Russian influence in the 2016 presidential election. It had been decided to bring someone in from the outside, so to speak, in an effort to bring both clarity and unity between the White House, the Senate, and the Congress, but more importantly, to clear the Trump administration of any wrongdoing. Another reason for this appointment is to provide the public with an exact, transparent appreciation of the Trump administration. Now, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, Acting Attorney General, said that it is in the public interest to appoint a special counsel to oversee the investigations within the FBI. Mueller, who was at the head of the FBI during the 9/11 attacks, has served under both presidential party administrations. He'll have sweeping powers to investigate the Trump associates to see when, if ever, there was any collusion between the Trump team and them dar Russians. The White House was informed of the decision for a special counsel after the order had been signed. President Trump, as always, is out in front of this latest attack. He says, as I have stated many times, a thorough investigation will confirm what we already know. There was no collusion between my campaign and any foreign entity. I look forward to this matter concluding quickly. In the meantime, I will never stop fighting for the people and the issues that matter most to the future of our country. The Justice Department said Mueller has resigned from his job at a private law firm to take the job of special counsel. The decision by the DOJ followed the revelation Tuesday that fired FBI Director James Comey had wrote in a memo that President Trump asked him to end an investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Mueller is the former FBI Director. He was appointed by President George W. Bush, who did a 2-year extension under President Obama beyond his 10-year fixed term before retiring in 2013. Mueller became the FBI Director shortly before the 9/11 attacks and turned the FBI into a counterterrorism operation. Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Richard Burr said the appointment of Mueller is a good decision that assures the American people that there's no undue influence in the probe of Russian meddling in last year's election. Burr, who heads the Senate investigation into the Russian activity and possible connections to the associates of President Donald Trump, says his committee will continue to proceed forward and the panel's job hasn't changed. Mueller will have the same powers as a U.S. attorney, but he will report to Rosenstein. He can keep the same investigators in place or request new or additional staff, including from outside the department. I'm worried with all special counsels because there's no control over them when they can abuse their power, so said Representative Peter King of New York when he was speaking with the Associated Press. In the 1990s, independent counsel Ken Starr investigated then-President Clinton. Some say he may have been a bit overzealous. Rosenstein appointed Mueller under a statute that has been used only once, in 1999, when John Danforth was appointed to investigate government wrongdoing in the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas. As a sidebar here, the Spearsy Spin has received information about the Waco situation. And we may be doing a separate show that may throw some very damaging information before the public with regard to how the government handled Waco. What we may uncover will absolutely stun you. We are waiting right now on just a few more newsworthy items, and we will let you know if and when we will air our Waco, Texas program. Well, back to the issue at hand. John Danforth's investigation into Waco cost millions of dollars. Also, the scene was restaged for the final hours of the standoff with federal agents. Mr. Danforth's 150-page report cleared then Attorney General Giannarino and others of any wrongdoing. So CNN, or should I say the anti-Trump news agency, spent hours and hours on this news of a special counsel, at one point having as many as 6 commentators with different talking heads who all gave their glum assessments and opinions about the special counsel. More importantly, they played this whole investigation thing into a fevered pitch, even alluding to indivisible facts that Trump brought this on himself. And what of Trump asking Comey to stop investigating Flynn? Well, here's how this probably went down. Hey, Jim, if you're not finding anything other than Flynn talked with his Russian counterpart within the scope of his job, could you please stop investigating? Now, this is reasonable and no different than an attorney asking a DA or an assistant DA to halt actions against his client if, in fact, there's no evidence to support a continuing investigation and subsequent trial. Now, here's what's so very strange to me. The Democrats and the liberals have been on this kick since the election. And, of course, it's the same old hate Trump, resist, persist, enlist, and yada, yada, yada. The end result? Believe it or not, many Democrats are now switching over to either the Republican ticket or independents. Why? Because they are sick to death of this nonstop political wrangling and also do not want to be associated with all these protests and riots. So, are the Michael Moore tactics working? No. Will Hillary's group work at distracting Trump? No. Is there anything that can calm or dissuade Donald Trump? Hell no. And what of his supposed narcissistic personality? Well, Trump, much like Winston Churchill, they knew and they know how to roll the dice and stay on top with whatever's thrown at them. In fact, Donald Trump, with his personality, will always be able to dig in even further and attack even harder. So what will we see after spending more millions of dollars investigating the same damn things that the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, the Senate Judiciary Committee, the Republican Congressional Probe, and all the media entities, and now Mueller? Well, here's what I suspect you'll hear. Now, as a bit of a showman as I am, I would like to provide you with the news of this investigation's fruition, but I'd like to do it as Walter Cronkite, if you would.
This is the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite.
Good evening, I'm Walter Cronkite, reporting from Washington. Well, it's been 18 months and well over $100 million, but special counsel overseeing the Trump-Russia conspiracy is finally concluded. Robert Mueller, acting as a special investigator under the guise of the U.S. Attorney General's office, has concluded that a telephone call was made between Michael Flynn and his counterpart in Russia. Flynn is a retired Army lieutenant general who was the 18th director of the Defense Intelligence Agency and the first national security advisor appointed by President Donald Trump. The special counsel has concluded that although it did seem to be questionable that Flynn would have this conversation, however, they said there was nothing suspect about the content of that conversation. However, the special counsel has found that Susan Rice, who is the 24th United States National Security Advisor from 2013 to 2017, while working in the Obama administration, did in fact violate her oath of office with regard to the leaking of confidential and highly classified information. She will be arraigned and charged in federal court at a time soon to be announced and formally charged with willful dissemination of classified information, which is a felony, and with the subjugation of the office of the National Security Advisor. If found guilty of one or both charges, she faces up to 2 life sentences. Well, now Americans can step back, take a breath this evening. I'm sure the folks there in the Trump White House are elated. And that's the way it is. Wednesday, November 21st, 2018. I'm Walter Cronkite for CBS News. Good night.
Direct from our newsroom in New York, in color, this has been the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite.